Hey, it's Drybear. And it's that time again. We've got a brand new patch for the First Descendant. However, as is a recent trend for the last patch or two for the First Descendant, there are some good things and some bad things, so let's dive in. First, let's talk about one of the hottest topics in the community right now for the First Descendant, the new addition of the medium-sized Void Vessel, the addition of the swords. I think this has been a very hotly debated topic. A lot of people have been okay with it. I don't know if anyone's been fully stoked about the way they implemented it, but there's also been a lot of negativity around how difficult it is to farm the swords, how strong the swords are once you finally get them, and also just the monotony of doing the Void Vessels in general. And so TFD, Magnum, and their parent company have been doing a relatively good job over the last year of trying to keep up with community feedback and trying to make the game better and feel better. However, this update, I think, is a little bit off the mark on what they're trying to accomplish. So the main gripe that people have, aside from, the grindy aspect of how hard it is to get the swords, I mean, there's definitely been this kind of increasing amount of how much grind there is to get the new stuff. This one is probably one of the hardest grinds we've seen in the First Descendant, just by the sheer number of things that, like, Void Vessel runs you have to do, drops you have to get. And honestly, the drop of the blueprints isn't all that bad. You can do target rewards, you can get the blueprints, you can get the swords through that process. The main issue with the sword drops has been getting the materials, right? Because you need 100 materials for every, it's 2 different materials, 1 for each of the 2 different swords. You need 100 each for each of the components for each sword. So there's 3 components that need 100 each, so that's 300 per sword, times 5, times 2 is 10, ridiculous amount, and you don't really get that much per run, and you're also very heavily gated by the number of materials you get from chests that are in the run. So a lot of people were looking forward to this mid-October patch for the First Descendant to alleviate some of those issues, potentially either just increase the amount of materials that you get in the chests, or spread out the materials, make them drop in Sigma Sector, or make them drop in Void Erosion, or something else, just to break up the monotony of doing Void Vessel over and over and over again. So the question is, what did they do in this patch? So this is where we're at, which is kind of confounding in a lot of ways. So Void Vessel medium-sized facility zone adjusted the material storage boxes and special material storage boxes to spawn approximately 1.5 times more than before. And I feel like, I'm going to try and say this as charitably as I can. I think that this is a little tone deaf. Realistically, the biggest limiting factor for you doing this is the length of the Void Vessel run, but also the fact that to get these materials, you have to have the new encryption keys, the encryption key 2, to open the chests in the first place. So increasing the amount of chests in the run doesn't really do all that much, right? It takes the grind from like 100% down to like 97.7%. Like, it's really an inconsequential change because you're always going to be gated by the number of encryption keys that you have. This one, generally I usually give them a lot of credit, but this one just feels like it's really off the mark because this doesn't really have that much impact on the grind whatsoever. It's a very small amount because realistically, every time you run the Void Vessel, you're going to get 5 encryption keys from that run, which means that your first time doing the Void Vessel, you can't open any chests, specifically because they decided to make a brand new encryption key type, right? Like the old Void Vessel had encryption key 1, the new Void Vessel has encryption key 2, which means you couldn't have any materials stored up to get this. In this case, when they increased the number of chests, it doesn't really matter because realistically you still need encryption keys to open the chests in the first place. And if they go from there's 6 chests in the run to there's 10,000 chests in the run, it doesn't matter because you can only open 5 per run if you're opening as many chests as you can every single time you run. So there is a limiting factor of the encryption keys preventing you from opening more chests anyways. So increasing the amount of chests is a very small change. Now, it is still nice because sometimes you will run into runs with, based on the RNG, you get a lot of broken chests. I've had runs where you get like the green chest, the experimentals or whatever, or not experimentals, the genetic ones, the ones you get for the dog. You can just get those a lot, and sometimes you just don't get enough. And every now and then you might get a run where you can only open 4 material chests instead of 5 with the keys that you have. And so increasing the amount means that that happens less, but it was already happening so infrequently. And also Usually, if you could only open 3 or 4 of the chests you wanted in that run, which didn't happen all that much, you would just run again, and then the RNG would allow you so that the next time you do the run, you know, there would be 7 of them, and you had 1 extra key laying around or 2 extra keys laying around, you could get it done. So I think this one is definitely a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, and let me know what your perspective is. Maybe you're super ecstatic about this change in general, but it also just feels like this one just kind of missed the mark in a lot of ways. It didn't make the grind any more palatable in any way. It didn't make the drops better. It didn't, you know, make anything more improved. It just meant that the very small niche case where you couldn't open all 5 of your encryption keys in one run, that happens less often now because they increased the amount of chests that you get. They also added a delay to the door in the Arche Slayer battle area to prevent it from closing immediately, especially because the door, it's a physical door. It's not like a block or gate or whatever. It doesn't even have, like, usually most of like the intercept battles or like the operation, like the dungeon runs, they would have like it would start a timer and you can still walk in through the door as long as the timer is running. For Void Vessel Medium, for whatever reason, they decided to just make it so as soon as you walk in, the door closes immediately, and if you're standing on the door, it forces you up into the ceiling and gets you blocked out, which is kind of rough. So they just made that a little bit slower so it's a little bit more reasonable. Kind of a small, you know, feels good kind of change, not really super consequential, but it definitely feels better. And they also improved the visibility for the Arche Slayer's teleport skill. So this is actually kind of nice. I still think Arche Slayer is really oversimplified and kind of just really basic. He just dashes around a bunch of times, shoots some projectiles, and then dashes around and shoots some projectiles and teleports. Generally, what I like to do is I just mark him with a marker so that when he teleports, you can follow the marker. But this is a nice change because it makes it a little bit better. Next, when they decided to change the reactor scaling with that change there, they actually you know, either it's accidental or just, you know, they just didn't realize that this would have been impacted, which you would think that, you know, game designers would have been on top of that. But in this case, there was just a big, you know, oversight where when they removed the reactor change, it actually caused skill-based Descendants to lose power because of it. And a lot of that came from the Arche Tuning. So they're fixing this problem, which is really great. So with this, they adjusted the skill power values for the Arche Tuning skill power enhancement nodes in Arche to be from, you know, skill power enhancement on common 26 to 41, 500 to 800, 643 to 1029. So your Arche Tuning is now going to provide more skill power after this update to make your skill-based Descendants stronger. I haven't tested yet to see if it's like on parity of what it was from the power that we lost from the patch where they changed the reactors and the mounting, because it ended up causing a lot of issues. But it, you know, it seems like getting some power back from the Arche Tuning, it's not going to be the, you know, the biggest change in the world, but it definitely will be felt by you because a lot of this power that you're getting from these nodes is going to stack up and feel quite good. They also added in a new event with a token exchange shop general store of dreams. So you'll be getting dream tokens for logging in and various other events and part of the event as well. And you can go to the general store of dreams to spend those tokens. They've done this many times before with like the Anais store and things like that. It can be accessible through the little BB, if you like Death Stranding. Dream tokens can be acquired through the challenges, daily events, logins, things like that. So again, in case you're new, you can go to the event store or the event page by just opening up your menu and go to the events here. So this is the general store of dreams. This is where to get your dream tokens and some other things like a catalyst and things like that, which is pretty cool. And this will reset. These are weekly resets and daily resets and things like that. And if you really wanted to, you could also go over to the little BB over here, BB on, and go to the store. You can also go straight to this store to spend. So if you're looking for the login bonuses and challenges, you go to the events here and click on this, and this is where you'll find those. And we still have the login as well. And then if you want to spend those tokens rather than going to Anais, it's here with the event general store. So just go to a little BB, he's happy to see you. You click on this and you got these options in here. It's got skins, it's got other things as well. I think one of my major gripes with this is a lot of the things we have on here are general purpose, but also would have been nice for some of these, like to spend these. We've got like the Sigma sector, the scissors, and the fission. We've got core amplifiers. We've got the little, you know, sea mines. We've got the fragments if you still need those, a booster, mutant cell box, a catalyst. But what you'll notice is I kind of wish they would, you know, if the biggest complaint in the community is the Void Vessel grind is too grindy and it takes too long to get the materials that we need for the swords, I don't see why they wouldn't have put the encryption keys in this store, or maybe even put it in other stores like the Battle Pass store or various other shops. It seems a little tone deaf to not have that in here so that you could like spend your, if you really wanted to, you could do this cool Halloween event and then use that event to get what you need. It's kind of the point of this, right? Is that if you need external components, or you need mutant cells, or you're leveling up your reactors or something, you can buy what you need from these stores, and that's the whole point of these event stores. But the fact that there are no encryption keys for sale in this store when the community has been complaining nonstop for the last couple weeks over the materials that you need in Void Vessel, again, just feels kind of a little odd. But there's some cool stuff in here. We've got like a couple of modes, some cool like animations and things like that. This stuff, there's just some cool fun stuff in here. There's like a bat sticker and neon ghosts and things like that, which is all pretty cool. There's also a sweet UI theme, the Dream Rascal. It's nice when they add these, and this one is probably one of the more pleasing ones. Like some of these have been like real intense, like the way they change these up, but it's just nice to have that color set up here. I kind of like mess around with the ones that I want, but the new one's kind of cool. It's got like that dark black with like the violet color. It does have this like real nice like bat like back decal on the button, and it's got like these buttons here too. It's like all of it just like feels kind of good, looks pretty cool, so you can pick that up there. I think the cosmetics in the store are super fine, and in general you'll probably just want to be doing these events, doing the challenges, completing things, and then also getting into that. Also, a brief mention for this as well, there is a bug going on right now where some people are unable to claim mail. I can try here to see if it works. Okay, yeah, so I'm having the bug as well. You can see right under my big fat massive head, if I try to claim my mail right now, like if I try to claim it, it just gives you a weird message that says unable to receive, check your inventory. There's nothing wrong with your inventory. These things don't have max inventory anyway. It is a bug that's going on with the patch. They'll probably hotfix it in the next day or two, hopefully before the weekend. But if you're experiencing this, there's nothing wrong with your game. It's just a bug. It's not you, it's them. So just give it some time and they'll get this one sorted out. They also improved the system so that the volume of monster hit sounds while using a vehicle can now be adjusted through the vehicle volume option. There's definitely been, they did like a remaster on how they handled sounds when Season 3 came out with Axion Plains. There's definitely been some sound bank issues where the sound bank just blows out and starts clipping with really high fire rate, especially if you have Serena or Glay. Some of those sounds get really wonky. They've done a lot of fixes over the last couple weeks or last month trying to improve that, and they have improved it. But now they're adding like more sub-menu options for things like vehicles and things like that. They also improved the sub-quest secured combat data so that it counts when completing Void Vessel medium facility zone. If you're a veteran player or even an intermediate player or you've been playing long enough, you probably don't know what this is. This is when like Void Vessel first came out. There's a quest we have to go around and get data. They now made it so that you can do the Void Vessel quest on the new Void Vessel if you want for any difficulty. This is like a nice like back cleanup. It does seem like they're super hyper focused on new players. A lot of like their efforts are on making the grind easier, making the campaign easier, fixing really old quests that a lot of like veteran players probably forgot even existed. So they are still kind of focusing on that, and it seems like their primary priority right now is getting new players into the game and helping new players enjoy the game as their primary, their priority. And as they promised, it is Halloween-y time. Ooh, so spooky. Look at that ghost. I'm so spooked. It's crazy. So just like they did for the summer event with the Infinity Pool, they redecorated the Albion area. It's awesome to do this. It's really cool. And I think the environment artist did an awesome job with this. There's some nice props, some good, cool new textures. A lot of it just feels really fun and unique. And so you have like this new area here, like all across Albion. You got ghosts floating up in the air, these spooky dooky like tombstones and candles, and you'll actually find this all throughout the area, like little tape and things like that. It also just gives people a chance to use their Halloween skins. I wish that they brought back some Halloween skins from last year just to give people a chance to get those skins. You can see like some goopies over here, a cauldron. You've got things up in here. Did they decorate Daya? They couldn't even festively decorate the girl who's unconscious for many, many months. They've got some decorations here, a witch hat over there. You've got some banners coming down. They've even got bunting. Who doesn't like bunting? Some candles, some candelabras, pumpkins, really cool. They also did a good job on the collision too, and I've been running around and bumping into these. That none of them have really been a major issue, and even with like the light, like the neon lights they have set up, a lot of those don't really have major problems. There's even a paint spill here. Like I guess Harris just doesn't care about her own ship. She just kicked over some paint and just is ignoring it, like doesn't really care. Maybe because she's preparing to be a Descendant in a month or so. We've got like some cool neon lights, some booze over here. We can see where Alpha used to stand if there's some cool stuff in here. More pumpkin. They even put pumpkins on their tactical map because, you know, who cares about the Vulgus and the war? Let's have some fun on the tactical map in the middle area. You've got some like tape around the Descendant instructor and more spilled paint. which seems like a bit of a, like, you know, OSHA violation, like some slip risks. There's some, you know, like more bunting going on over here. This is the area where we used to have the infinity pool. It's got a giant, like, cryptic, you know, Halloween-y tower here. You've got a couple spots that you can sit down. There's no, like, really fun animations like we had with the infinity pool. If you guys remember when we had the infinity pool here, there's places where you could stand in the bar and you could, like, mix drinks and you could swim and all of that. You will find some places where you can sit, and then some of these have their own unique sitting animations, like crossed legs or hands in lap and things like that. But there's nothing like really like super animation. Like I said, they're all just, you know, there's a different sit animation, and it's not even like an animation, it's just a pose. So you actually will just sit on these. Some of these have different poses. This one's got like wide legs, I guess, that sort of thing. There's even an area over here, steamed pumpkin to today's special. They got like a little dinner area here. You can sit on that. You know, again, it's just a pose when you're sitting on that. You've got even some like crazy bunting here, which I'm sure Anais or Anais doesn't really like in her workspace, that it's all decorated. You got some balloonies, some trick-or-treaties over here, some cool little glowing neon pumpkins, and that sort of thing. So hopefully this lasts like at least a month or two. I imagine, you know, by December this will be gone, but it is kind of nice to be able, she's falling forever. We've got, you know, some cool stuff here. So let's go to see those little decorations. Moving on to the cosmetics. And this is actually another point of contention, I imagine, for the community. This one has been talked about a little bit. Just a little bit of a preamble here. A lot of the skins that are offered for this Halloween event are not universal. And this is kind of, I'm guessing they're just testing the waters here to see, you know, people complained that there were too many universal skins and everything looked the same. Now they're doing specific characters, and there's probably people complaining that some of these skins are only for specific characters. But if you look at these skins here, you can see that this is like only for a handful of characters. Most of these, like this bandage mummy skin is only for, it's for Inez, Haley, Glay, and that looks like it. So just those three. For the, for this one, they have a couple of these, and they have very minor changes based on the character that's there, with like color changes and different horns. You can see, like, if you look at the horns, all the horns are a little bit different. The skin itself is the same with just like some border things, but this is only like this, like succubus skin is only for Nell, Serena, Sharon, and Bunny. So again, only 3 for one, only 4 for the other. These are not universal, which is kind of strange, because I think one of the things that TFD has done, that, you know, for better or for worse, is they've made a lot of their characters end up being similar proportions and sizes. Like if you go through the Descendants in general, like if you actually just like go through here and just look at the Descendants, you actually will end up seeing that a lot of them, like especially like the females and stuff, a lot of them are very similar heights, shapes, widths, their shoulders, a lot of that stuff. So like they're actually like where their shoulders are set up, like the skeletal rig for the characters are very, very similar. There's a couple characters, I guess I just broke the menu. There are a couple characters that have different proportions, like Serena in some cases, or like Haley in some cases, or like Ajax or SMO can be big. I guess this is just broken. Another bug, I guess. So I can't see the characters. But it seems kind of odd that, like, if you're going to be doing character-specific skins, I feel like you would want to be doing more varied characters, you know, like shorter stature, taller stature, different, like, you know, ethnicities and bone structures and facial structures and things like that. Like, if you're not going to do universal skins, then you may as well just do very varied characters, and maybe that's what they're planning to do. So like when we actually get Harris added to the game as a Descendant, she's going to be slightly different, though actually if we run over here, you can see pretty much she kind of fits into the mold as every other character, right? Like I feel like we need some short kings and queens and some tall kings and queens and some very odd shapes and big bulky boys and things like that. Like I feel like a lot of these are very homogenized in just their skeletal like proportions and things like that. So I think there's definitely some people that have had some issues with the fact that these are like individual characters. They do have an overall bundle as well, which has some cool things added to it. So you can actually buy for an outrageous sum, 3,050 caliber. You can get all of the variants between all of these. So like the 4 succubus skins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 3 mummy skins, 1, 2, 3. There's also a dream kiss. So like a cool little thing. It actually has like a little tail that comes off of it. And then, you know, some seductive sharing of essence, I guess. And then you fly away. Wait, does it not reset? I think it's broken. Oh my gosh, so many bugs. It doesn't loop. she just floats up into the air and stays there. There's a Night of the Full Moon spawn, so a kitty cat spawn. You grow ears, a little cattail, teleport away and teleport back in, which is kind of cool. It almost would be cool for them to have like attachments that would match that in general. There's also the creature bundle. So for the men always have a universal skins because you know, it is the TFD way of things. So this is going to be your Frankenstein skin. You can see some of the heads are different size, but the character is all the same size, except for maybe SCMO. Like SCMO and Ajax tend to have a slightly different rig than the others. You can see the head changes in size, but this is currently the Frankenstein skin. This feels like a little bit of like a, I don't know, jorts and a crop top. It's got some cool vibes to it. It's not really my style. It feels like it's more of like a, I guess it should be my style. I was about to say middle-aged aesthetic, but you know, there it is. And then we've also got a spooky chair emote. So you spawn in a chair, you sit on top of it, and you actually get to like rock around, which is kind of cool. I like the shape of it. It's got like the succubus shape too. They also added more rotational bundles here as well. So if you wanted like the Bastion skin for Ajax, this has been swapped out for the previous bundles. You've got the Encounter with the Unknown Spaceman Eugen. You've got the really cool, like this is like the Ultraman Lepic, which is pretty cool. The Infectious Agent Survival bundle, and then you've got the Bunnies Baby Kitten bundle as well. So these are like the purple skins. These are generally a good deal compared to their normal prices, where if you own the Descendant, you can actually have it here. One of the gripes that I have with this system is that if you know, I've been always very much against them trying to make us buy more slots by just keeping duplicates of every character. I previously have always dismissed Descendants that have it, but I've started to like go back and refarm these old ones because it sounds like they're never going to cave and allow us to only have one version of a character. They want us to buy extra Descendant slots and then use our money on that so that we can keep two versions of every character in order to get that bundle, because realistically, a bundle like that, I feel like if you own either the Ultimate or the normal, it should be discounted. But because I have Ultimate Ajax here and I've dismissed normal Ajax, I don't get the discount on this bundle, which is really bizarre. So I've kind of gone back and started to farm those, but those are options if you are interested in those. And lastly, they've added new dioramas and figurines, like basically lounge options as well. I don't know who's buying these, to be honest. Comment down below if you actually buy, like spend money on these for your lounge. I feel like if you could display these more prominently in an area that other people could see, it would be more useful. But 600 caliber for a diorama like this is pretty bizarre. You've got like even some of the new skins. This is a cool pose. I don't know if he's just like preparing to sumo wrestle or if he's just, you know, had too much of SCMO's cooking or something. You've got some cool poses here, some cool things for the new skins as well. I guess there's definitely a market for people that want that kind of thing based on the pose that's on there. But you got these new things as options here as well if you wanted to pick these up and use these as dioramas. I also wish that some of these could be bigger too, because like a lot of the displays inside the lounge, even if if you're into that kind of thing, they feel like they're really small. You can even see like the fidelity on these are pretty decent. But usually when you place them down in the lounge, they end up being really tiny and kind of hard to appreciate based on where they are. I feel like this should be like a little bit larger, like maybe half size or quarter size Descendants. You can actually see it a lot better, but you got some new ones being added in there for the Halloween event. And lastly, there are some bug fixes. I didn't see anything super major in here. They did some bug fixes for Void Vessel getting stuck, no vehicles, getting stuck in the door, being trapped behind barriers. There's also like, you know, clips of people glitching through the walls or getting outside the playable area and getting on top of the Void Vessel, you know, like clash, like tags and things like that, like being able to mark abilities for that, weapons and modules, critical point effect of Ultimate Descendants, and then critical point breakthrough modules, things like that. UI, UX, I'll just scroll through these so you can see these here. They also adjusted ornaments and figurines obtainable through the purchase collection function can now be dismantled. So that's kind of nice if you had ones you didn't want to hold on to. So that is where we're at. But I'm very curious. Let me know what you think about this patch. There's another patch, I believe, coming next week with another maid skin, like the third or fourth maid skin we've had in the game. Most of them had been free, so I think this one's going to be purchase only, but it is kind of worth just seeing where it is. But let me know where your head is at on this patch for the First Descendant, how you feel about the grind for the swords and Void Vessels, if you feel like it was perfectly fine the way that it was, or if it needs to be adjusted, and also if the adjustment they made today is to your liking. I kind of just want to know, like, vibe on community, like where this is at and how people are feeling about where the state of the game is. And, you know, with Harris coming, another Void Vessel coming, coming at the end of the year, Ultimate Yujin, some new things coming around the horizon, and also just how you feel about where the game stands. Let me know in the comments down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.